If Bishop Jakes was at a Diddy party, there could only be two reasons: money or sex. That's all that happens at Diddy parties.
But we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told us happened at the Diddy parties.
It's all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.D. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Welcome back to StarHush, where the tea is always hot and the drama never sleeps. So, you know how the internet eats up a juicy scandal, right? Well, the Diddy saga has been serving up drama like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. And just when we thought we were full, bam! Another course is served, and this time, it's none other than Bishop T.D. Jakes stepping into the spotlight. The mega pastor, spiritual guide to millions, recently announced he's stepping down from his role at the Potter's house. Now, the rumor mill is in overdrive. Some say it's health issues, others think he's pursuing new ventures. But Monique, she's not buying any of it. According to her, it's all tied to Diddy's current predicament. The whispers are getting louder that Jakes was somehow connected to Diddy and his, let's say, extracurricular activities. Allegedly, the powers that be at the Potter's house weren't thrilled about the potential fallout. They supposedly saw the writing on the wall and decided to avoid a PR nightmare by suggesting Jakes take a step back before things got even more scandalous. Basically, they didn't want Diddy's drama staining their pews. So what's the real story? Monique claims she knows and she's not afraid to share. Get ready for some serious bombshells because Monique is about to expose the alleged true reason behind T.D. Jakes' resignation. Now let's talk about the magnitude of this T.D. Jakes situation. The news that Bishop Thomas Dexter Jakes, T.D. Jakes to the rest of us, is stepping down from his role as senior pastor of the Potter's house. That's not just church news, that's cultural news. The internet basically exploded, the kind of frenzy you usually see when a major figure steps down. Given Jakes' influence, especially within the African American community and globally amongst black people, it's no surprise we're talking about a figure who's been a cornerstone of black life in America, Christian or not, since the 90s. His TV shows alone reached millions. He advised presidents like George W. Bush and Barack Obama. He spoke at the funerals of legends like Whitney Houston and Aretha Franklin. Calling him a celebrity pastor is a massive understatement. He was a cultural icon, praised, admired, and seen as a spiritual leader for so many. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? Lately, things haven't been so rosy. Amidst all the accolades and good publicity, whispers started circulating, connecting him to some of the mess surrounding Diddy. And let's be real, those kinds of allegations can make even the most carefully crafted image start to crumble. All that goodwill, all that public adoration, it starts to feel a little less secure when those kinds of rumors start swirling. That's where things get really interesting, because now we're hearing Monique's side of the story. Monique just dropped a truth bomb that's got everyone talking about Bishop T.D. Jakes' sudden departure. Forget the official explanations. Monique's got a theory, and let me tell you, it's a doozy. She's not buying the whole "I'm stepping down to focus on other things" narrative for a second. Nope. Monique is convinced that Jakes' resignation is directly tied to his alleged involvement with Diddy and those infamous parties that have been making headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Lay my hands on you, Bishop, and he said, and then the is on the that. He's doing all of this, right? And then there's a woman on the dais.
Let's be real for a second. Diddy's whole world has always been wrapped in mystery and rumors. And now that federal agents are poking around and the accusations keep piling up, folks are racing to jump ship before it sinks. Monique's out here saying Bishop T.D. Jakes might have gotten way too close to the fire. She claims he dipped a little too deep into Diddy's flashy scene. The late night events, the high-end lifestyle, and all the exclusivity that came with being part of that circle. And now, she says he might be trying to clean his hands before the smoke turns into fire. When the headlines started talking about illegal activity and serious misconduct, Jakes allegedly tried to downplay everything, acting like it was business as usual. But behind the scenes, the whispers were already getting loud. Now here's where it gets spicy. Monique believes that Diddy, knowing the walls are closing in and seeing his friends fall off one by one, is sitting on a vault of receipts. We're talking files, recordings, photos, maybe even witness lists. He's got info that could flip the whole game upside down if it ever saw daylight. Monique's theory is wild but makes sense. She thinks Diddy, feeling like everyone's turning on him, could hit the self-destruct button and air out everybody who ever stood next to him. And if that happens, TD Jakes might be on that list. So what's Jakes doing? According to Monique, he's backing out of the spotlight quick. That whole stepping down to focus on other ventures speech, she ain't buying it for a second. Monique says he's trying to get ahead of the fallout. Pull back from the pulpit, stay low, and protect the brand before Diddy lets anything fly. It's a whole strategic move. Before the courtroom gets noisy, and before the news cycle turns names into headlines, Jakes is allegedly trying to slide out the back quietly. No drama, no damage. And his ministry too. That's the part that's really got folks raising eyebrows, because if Diddy really is holding on to something explosive, TD Jakes might be trying to dip out before any of it hits the fan. It's like he saw the storm coming and hit the exit before the thunder even started rumbling. Call it what you want, damage control, a pre-game escape, or a full-on retreat. But Monique's theory is sounding less like a reach and more like a warning signal. The timing is way too convenient to ignore. Jakes stepping down just as the heat on Diddy hits a boiling point? Come on now. And let's not act brand new. TD Jakes' name has been loosely tied to Diddy before. Nothing confirmed, but the rumors have been floating around in the background for a minute. Now with Diddy's world collapsing in real time, those whispers just got a whole lot louder. It's giving full-blown soap opera. High-powered folks, big names, a tangled web of secrets, and possibly the kind of downfall that gets documentaries made years later. True or not, Monique definitely just took this story up a few notches, and now everyone's side-eyeing that resignation like, wait a minute, and people online, they're locked in. One fan posted, TD Jakes just stepped down at the Potter's house. That Diddy trial is about to air out stuff that can't be hidden anymore. Time to see what's really happening behind those pulpits. Ooh, even messier. Word in the streets is that Jakes ain't just stepping down. He's allegedly planning to skip the whole country. Yes, for real. One fan tweeted, TD Jakes steps down 1 week before the Diddy trial? Another chimed in, this Creole thief tour is flopping and next week about to be chaos. Folks are already bracing for impact. The theory? Jakes is terrified he'll get dragged into the middle of it, whether as a witness, name dropped in court, or just exposed by association. So what's the solution? Allegedly, he's getting ghosted before any of that can happen. After all that effort to build a clean rep, it looks like ducking and dodging is all he's got left now.
But there will be a time. So you can stop dragging people and arguing with people and fighting and just log off. All you do is just hit the button. Right there. Log off.
Let's keep it real. Keeping a spotless image in the public eye is like running a full-blown PR factory. And TD Jakes, he had that game on lock. He built himself up as the ultimate man of God, a father figure, a wise spiritual guide, and a role model. Books on blessings? Check. Faith-based films? Check. That whole clean-cut, holy leader vibe? Fully branded. But here's the part nobody likes to admit. You can't keep a mask on forever. No matter how well-crafted the public image is, the truth always finds a way out. You can drop bestsellers, pray on camera, and give motivational talks on stage, but if the private version of you ain't matching up, eventually it all crashes down. Word on the street is that behind all that praise and preaching, TD was allegedly hanging around Diddy's inner circle, popping up at those wild parties. Yeah, those parties. And what supposedly went down at some of those events. Let's just say it's the exact opposite of Sunday morning sermons. Allegedly, he tried to keep those two sides of his life separate, pastor by day, something else by night. But when you're standing next to someone like Diddy, who's now at the center of a federal level scandal, you better believe those secrets start bubbling up. The whole facade, polished and perfect for decades, is starting to show real cracks. And guess who's holding the flashlight? Monique. She's out here peeling back the curtain, saying the quiet part out loud and pointing fingers at what she says has been kept in the dark too long. Because the truth, it doesn't stay buried forever. Now, if you're just jumping into the tea and wondering how TD Jakes even ended up in this mess, let's catch you up real quick. This isn't some random internet theory pulled from a comment section. This has receipts and legal ties. We're talking about that lawsuit from producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, the one where he took Diddy to court and aired out some serious accusations. And yes, right in the middle of those legal docs, a major name drop, none other than Bishop T.D. Jakes himself. Now here's where things get real wild. We're talking full-blown movie script vibes. According to producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Diddy had some behind-the-scenes plans to use his connection with Bishop T.D. Jakes to clean up his public image. That's right, Jones is saying Diddy was looking at T.D. Jakes as his PR redemption card once Cassie dropped that bombshell lawsuit. Cassie's lawsuit alone had the industry shook, nearly 100 pages of serious allegations filed in federal court. But Lil Rod took it even further in his own legal filings. He said that while he was living and working inside Diddy's inner circle between late 2022 and late 2023, he was being threatened, drugged, and exposed to dangerous situations. And listen, this lawsuit wasn't just coming for Diddy. It also named Cuba Gooding Jr., Diddy's son Justin Combs, his chief of staff Christina Coram, big bosses like Universal Music Group CEO Sir Lucian Grange, and even former Motown Records CEO Ethiopia Habta Mariam. Now, even though Bishop T.D. Jakes isn't listed as a defendant in the case, his name does appear in the documents, and that's all it took for the streets to start buzzing. Jones says he recorded hours of footage and audio of Diddy, his staff, and others allegedly doing illegal stuff, drug use, gun incidents, and way more. And right after that, guess whose name popped up in connection? Yep, Bishop T.D. Jakes. In December 2023, the Dallas Morning News reported that T.D. Jakes' name had started circulating in the middle of this growing storm, all linked to alleged party scenes hosted by Diddy. And we're not talking quiet prayer brunches here, we mean the kind of events that already had the internet whispering. Of course, Bishop Jakes stepped up to the mic during his Christmas Eve service to shut it down. He flat out denied the accusations and said the whole thing was a big mess that got twisted. But even with that denial, a whole lot of folks weren't exactly buying it. When someone with that much influence gets even mentioned in the same breath as this chaos, it's not something you can just brush off. And if you thought his denial would bring people peace, it actually did the opposite. He tried to bring it back to faith, saying, "Even if it were true, all I'd need to do is sincerely repent from my heart. The blood can fix it, I don't care what it is." But then he added, "But I ain't gotta repent about this," and that line hit hard for all the wrong reasons. Now let's talk about the moment that really threw people off. Because when T.D. Jakes finally addressed all the whispers tying him to Diddy's situation, folks were expecting a strong, straight-up denial. Instead, he hit the congregation with a sermon about repentance and forgiveness. No real pushback, no, "I did not do this." Just a whole lot of, even if the worst happened, there's still redemption. And that got people talking. See, most folks thought he'd take the pulpit and clear his name with fire and authority, especially with his name getting linked to a high-profile scandal like this one, but that didn't happen. Instead, it felt like he was preparing people for something big to drop. Like he was low-key laying the groundwork for damage control, just in case receipts came flying out. Instead of saying this is all false, he leaned hard into forgiveness. And that's what really had the crowd side-eyeing. That whole approach just made the whispers louder. People weren't expecting a sermon. They wanted clarity. But what they got felt more like a soft confession, or at least an "if I did it" kind of energy. That's why the silence around a strong "I'm innocent" hits so heavy. The absence of a firm denial made folks even more suspicious, like, what's really going on here? Monique's theory had already lit the fuse, and this just added gasoline to the flame. But this ain't the first time T.D. Jakes' connection to Diddy had folks side-eyeing the pastor. Let's rewind to 2022, when a video surfaced of Bishop Jakes turning up at Diddy's over-the-top 53rd birthday bash in Los Angeles. And trust, the internet had questions. The clip showed him in the mix, mingling with the A-listers, and folks on Christian Twitter were not feeling it. People were wondering why a man of God was at a party known for its glitz, glamour, and some reportedly wild after-hours behavior. It wasn't your typical church picnic, let's just say that. People online immediately started asking, is this really the place for a spiritual leader? Should a bishop be chilling with someone like Diddy, especially knowing his reputation? It hit hard for a lot of believers who felt like Jake's crossing into Diddy's world blurred way too many lines. Sure, pastors can be around anybody, but when you're voluntarily popping up at an event like that, people are going to talk, and talk they did. Now let's get into how things really started spiraling. Because when that video of T.D. Jakes at Diddy's birthday bash made its way around the internet, it lit up timelines like wildfire. It wasn't just the clip itself, it was the optics, the questions, and the timing. The kind of moment that reminded everyone just how closely public figures, especially pastors, get watched when they move through celebrity circles. And make no mistake, the internet wasted no time calling it out. People were side-eyeing Jakes heavy. Why would a well-known spiritual leader be linked to a party thrown by someone like Diddy, especially with everything Diddy's been accused of lately? Even though the clip showed nothing too wild, it didn't take long for folks to start reading between the lines. So boom, that's when the damage control came in strong. Derek Williams, the executive VP of T.D. Jakes Entertainment, who was also seen at that same party, tried to play cleanup real quick. He told the Christian Post that Bishop Jakes had only stopped by the event for a brief moment. According to him, it wasn't about fun or turning up, it was strictly business. He said Jakes was already in Los Angeles handling some business meetings, and they figured a quick hello at Diddy's birthday would be the polite move. Williams made it very clear. This wasn't about supporting Diddy's lifestyle or being part of the party scene, it was just about showing respect to the former Revolt chairman. Williams even broke it down further. He said that since Jakes' sermons were airing on Revolt at the time, popping in just to show face was the respectful thing to do. Jakes recorded a short birthday greeting, said what's up to the family, and dipped right back out to his meetings. In their words, any accusation to the contrary is wholly unsubstantiated, unverified, and false. But let's be real, a lot of people just weren't buying that. See, this wasn't your average business mixer. Diddy's party's got a certain reputation, and even a quick stop can look real messy if the crowd, vibe, and energy don't match your public image. Critics didn't let up. They kept asking, if you knew what kind of scene it was, why show up at all? And now with so much heat on Diddy, even a casual connection feels dangerous. But here's where things get spicy. It's not just Monique stirring the pot. Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, has entered the chat too. And trust, this man is not just some random voice on the internet. Gene was right there in the thick of it, at Diddy's side for years. Up close and personal at those legendary parties people are now calling into question. And what did Gene say? He straight up implied that T.D. Jakes wasn't just at the party for appearances. He hinted Jakes may have been involved in some of the behind-the-scenes activities. Now let that sit for a second. Gene didn't mince words. He made it sound like Jakes was more than just a respectful guest, like he might have been part of what was really going down at these events. And given everything that's already being said about Diddy's private gatherings, that's a heavy claim to toss into the mix. Gene's words hit different because he was actually there. He's been saying for a minute that what folks saw on the outside was just the surface. According to him, those parties had layers, and not the good kind.
Been to these parties, right?
Oh yeah, I was there when he was doing the white parties in the Hamptons and the whole 9 yards, so I know what goes on at the parties. If, you know, they probably got a little bit more freakier, you know, as time went on, you know, because they got to the point whereas that they didn't even care. It used to be secretly, you know, where people used to go to, you know, separate rooms and different rooms, and they wasn't doing that out in the public, you know, so, but now they don't care. Men kissing men and all this other stuff. That's just...
Now here's the real kicker. Gene Deal ain't just out here guessing or riding the rumor wave. He flat out said he saw T.D. Jakes at those parties with his own 2 eyes. That's not secondhand tea or internet whispers. This man was on the inside. Gene wasn't watching from a distance or hearing it through the grapevine. He was there, in the room, around all the energy, seeing exactly who showed up and what was going down.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, you know, bruh. If he's going, well, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told us happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he needs to see it for himself, man. Maybe he needs to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they going to those parties. Or maybe he just going to, man, it's hard to even talk about. Why would you find a religious man, you know, when you know that the saints supposed to separate themselves from the sinners? And why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro? Whether it's drinking, maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties. It's hard, brother. Bro, you know, you can't, I really don't know why, as a spiritual advisor to him, that they buddy while he got a party with him like that and be at his parties. It's got to be, maybe it's something more that meets the...
And let's be real, Gene Deal didn't make it sound like T.D. Jakes just stopped by to shake hands and bounce. His message was loud and clear. According to him, Jakes wasn't on the sidelines, he was in the mix, taking part in whatever was going down at those wild Diddy gatherings. That's major. It really makes people wonder what a high-profile spiritual leader was doing in a scene like that, and what exactly he might have been wrapped up in.
It's very inappropriate of a man of a cloth to be at a party like that and then dancing across the stage, because he's dancing at Diddy party. But you have to understand that maybe his house ain't...
It hits different when it's not just online whispers or random gossip, but straight up claims from someone who was actually there. Gene Deal's words ain't just speculation. This man was in the room, watching it all play out with his own eyes. And that gives this whole situation a whole new level of seriousness. His statements put a big spotlight on T.D. Jakes, not just as someone who might have brushed shoulders with Diddy at a few events, but possibly as someone involved in the deeper side of Diddy's lifestyle. It raises major questions, like what was a high-profile preacher really doing at those parties, and how deep was he actually involved? The internet's been asking, can his image as a man of faith really survive this kind of heat? People are wondering if there's more truth behind his sudden step down than he's letting on. And now, the latest word flying around has people completely shook, because if the rumors are even half true, this story is about to blow wide open. Allegedly, Diddy, feeling boxed in, isolated, and betrayed while sitting behind bars, tried reaching out to T.D. Jakes for a favor. Yup, the word on the street is that Diddy hit up the bishop, hoping he could pull some strings, make a few calls, and help soften the legal heat coming his way. But guess what? Jakes supposedly turned him down flat. He allegedly told Diddy that he couldn't risk getting caught up in the scandal, especially after his name already made its way into court docs. With all the rumors flying, he knew getting involved would only drag him deeper into the mess. And that's when things allegedly took a real dark turn. Rumor is, Diddy did not take that rejection lightly. In fact, the streets say he lost it and threatened to leak everything. We're talking audio clips, videos, photos, things that could blow up Jakes' entire image and even get him caught up legally. That's the part that's got everybody spinning. The theory now is that this threat from Diddy, combined with the pressure of public speculation, was what finally pushed Jakes to step down and pack his bags. So what do you think, my stars and hushers? Is TD Jakes really trying to dodge a storm coming his way? Or is this all just conspiracy hype getting out of hand? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, don't hold back. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and stay locked in for more celebrity tea you won't find anywhere else. I've got new updates dropping daily, so don't miss out.